Good morning. My name is Michael Leeserman here with the Trial Guide's tip of the day this Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. Today's tip comes from The Classic David Ball on Damages by The Classic David Ball, who's here to read this for us today.
And I will read this in my most classical intonations. Jurors tend to give more money when they see that the defendant's wrongdoing was a failure of responsibility and that the defendant continues to try to evade responsibility in court. Negligence is a failure of responsibility by definition.
So,
And
tell us more about that. I'm just trying to kind of
Sure.
take that into an example.
Well, negligence always is a failure of someone's responsibility. Regardless of why they did it, that's ultimately what it is. Now that maybe they should have learned their lesson, yet they repeat the act of evading responsibility, failing responsibility in trial, it becomes a double punch. Because now the jurors have a double reason to want to make sure that that defendant does the right thing. Now, be very careful here. Do not say that they're evading responsibility by forcing this to come to trial. That can get you overturned and has in a lot of cases. Don't say that. Just say, here's what it means to be responsible in this kind of case. And that'll be very different from what they're willing to do. It means not just saying you're sorry, it means making recompense, however you want to frame that article. But don't say, by coming to court, they're demonstrating their lack of responsibility. Instead, show how the very defense is an evasion of responsibility. When they bring in an expert who does not look at all the information before coming to a conclusion, that's evading the responsibility of an expert. When they, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got to walk a fine line here, but it's worth learning to do because that is the jurors don't like people who intentionally, knowingly sit in a room and deny their responsibility to them. That's a worse act to jurors than when you miss your responsibility by going through a red light or, doing whatever you did. So it helps the jurors see that they're not dealing with a good force on the defendant's side, and that all your side is asking for is the normal human, meet your responsibility, which means to make up for the harm you did.
And you mentioned something, many things that are really important, but the idea of the wrongdoer evading responsibility in front of the jury, that this is a trial, it's important that the jury experiences that. And whether that means you have the corporate representative and you say, this is what you did, do you take responsibility? Or in any other way, how do you suggest we do that? Because that's so important.
Well,
right?
one of the ways is this company is still saying that what they did was okay. Rather than accepting the responsibility for hiring a driver with that kind of driving record, they're still here in trial saying it was no big deal. It's okay. They're still saying that. That you've never even used the word responsibility, but the jurors know what that's about. I don't care if the word responsibility goes through their head or not, but it means that the jurors themselves become the victims of the bad act. It's like the try the lie thing. If there's a lie in the case that the defense told somewhere along the line to the plaintiff, use that. Yeah, that's okay. But it's not as good as a lie that the defense lays on the jury. Because when you make the jury the victim of the bad act being evasion of responsibility, or the lie, or the deception, that villainizes everybody sitting on the defense side of the room. Not just some trucker who didn't get enough sleep and went out on the road and drove and hurt somebody. That way expands it. And you don't have to say any of that. You just make sure you say things like, they are still saying today that what they did was okay, or they're saying that these consequences that you've seen are trivial. After hearing what they've just heard, they will still say, no, that's not as precious, as valuable, as great a harm as they're saying. Those are evasions of responsibility. And it villainizes, without you using the word villain, you don't want to do that. Let the jurors come to those conclusions. Give them the materials, give them the information, and the jurors will get there, enough of them anyway. So if there'll be that thrust to provide a proper verdict. Don't ever ask for more money on that grounds. That'll get you reversed or stop dead anyway. It's that what I'm saying is it drives the proper amount of money. And you can say that when you close. Despite the fact that they trivialize what happened here, despite the fact that they're saying what they did was okay, your verdict should encompass the full and fair amount of the harms and losses in the case.
Thank you for the great advice this Thursday, David.
Thank you.
Let us take a deep breath together and be grateful to be alive this autumn day. May the work that we do today help to reduce suffering in the world, in our lives, in our clients' lives, in the entire world. May the work we do today help repair the world. May we fiercely and compassionately advocate for our clients. I'm going to ring a bell 3 times now. This can take you into a meditation practice, a prayer practice, or just remind you, wake up. It's Thursday. Go out, do good things, and have fun while you're doing it.